Today, Jeff Sessions held a press conference to announce what he is going to do in response to the storm of scandal around him over his hidden meetings with the Russian ambassador. And so we're going to have some video for you in that. In this first one, let's listen to him explain the next step.
If a specific matter arose where I believed my impartiality might reasonably be questioned, I would consult with the department ethics officials regarding the most appropriate way to proceed, close quote. That's what I told them at the confirmation hearing. I have now decided to recuse myself from any existing or future investigations of any matter relating in any way to the campaigns for President of the United States. I went on to say this announcement should not be interpreted as confirmation of the existence of any investigation or suggestive of the scope of any such investigation.
There you go. Now, we want to be very careful with his language there because it is interesting. And as Cenk has pointed out before, there's like a lawyerly sort of thing to it. So both in that quote there, and I'm going to read it for you here, take note of what he says and what he doesn't say. He says, I have decided to recuse myself from any existing or future investigations of any matters related in any way to the campaigns for President of the United States. So that is a recusal, but it is not a recusal from anything having to do with the Trump administration and Russian officials or Russian businessmen or anything like that. Anything having to do with the campaign for president. And so that is something, and you might consider that progress, but there's a lot of stuff he could get involved in that he could argue, I never said I was going to recuse myself from these things.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. So they've set themselves up in a weird situation here. They might have totally misplayed this. Let me explain. So right now, since he recused himself on those particular investigations, there's the acting deputy attorney general who steps in, who turns out to be an Obama appointee. Okay, so he's now leading the investigation. Well, that might be good enough right there. Let's see how long that lasts. But Democrats are calling for a special investigator, right? And the person who would normally have appointed that is Jeff Sessions. But the independent investigator would now presumably be appointed by the Obama appointee, the deputy acting attorney general, right? So he might have been better off doing a special counselor to investigate this matter while he could choose it. While he could choose it before he recused himself. Yeah. Now, they don't want that because they think, oh my God, once you get somebody like that in, it's like Ken Starr, they'll come in and they'll dig up everything. Yeah, maybe, but then you could have picked the guy. Now, it looks like the Obama appointee is either going to head the investigation or pick the person who does. So
assuming they go by the rules.
Right, again, so assuming that he's going to stick by this and not do the lawyerly tricks that John is talking about.
Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit about how Sessions is going to try to avoid any further repercussions for what's happened. And there's been a few different strategies. You can see the timeline online. There's a lot of good sources breaking that down. But we saw live the difficulty that Sessions is personally experiencing in figuring out how he's going to address this. And so JR put together a mashup of how he is going to attempt to use the fact that he apparently has the worst memory of any human being alive, and that is going to be his defense. You're going to see it on display in this clip.
Apparently sent a staffer to my office. I did not see him. I started off by saying, I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember saying I'd gone to Russia. I don't recall, but I don't recall any specific.
Do you recall meeting with Ambassador Kislyak any other times?
I don't recall having met him. I don't recall, and don't have a sense of it, but I don't recall having met him.
Have you met with any other Russian officials or folks connected to the Russian government since you endorsed Donald Trump?
I don't believe so. We meet a lot of people, so. Thank you all. Take care.
And he's out.
Okay, so those meetings, one of them happened in the middle of the summer, the other one happened in September. I've had a lot of meetings, business meetings, political meetings since September. So I might not recall the specifics of a particular meeting in the middle of September. I might not even remember a person I met with for a second, right? But if you said to me, hey, Cenk, you remember in September you met with this guy? and gave me his name and his face, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course, I met with him, right? And do you remember generally what you guys talked about? Of course, because we're human beings, and unless we have some sort of clinical problem with our memory, September of last year is not that long ago. Of course you remember it, especially if it was a Russian ambassador.
At that particular time.
Right.
Okay, you don't remember the Bolivian ambassador. Fine, nothing against Bolivia. But Bolivia did not have an international scandal going on directly related to the campaign that you're a surrogate for. There's only one country that did have that. I think that you'd remember it.
Yeah, so anytime you see these politicians say, I don't recall 20 times in a row, they're in a world of trouble, because that's the lawyerly answer to, I mean, if you got evidence on it, I guess I'll have to admit it later, but right now I'm not positive you have the evidence on it, so I won't say I didn't do it, I'll just say, I don't remember, man, what was it? Oh, I met with the Russian ambassador, we talked about the business deal he made with Trump. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Now, you get all of these really weird moments with the Trump administration where either it's, seventh dimensional chess, or it's a lack of communication between different arms of the administration. But we know that there was the talk of the full confidence for Michael Flynn right before he resigned from his position. We're going to have a little bit of video for you on that. And so the question of whether he would recuse himself was all over the place today. And so Sean Spicer comes out early this morning and says there's nothing to recuse himself from, and anyone who calls for it should be ashamed. Then you also had Trump weighing in, and he said this.
Should Sessions recuse himself from investigations into your campaign in Russia?
I don't think so at all.
When did you first learn that Sessions spoke to the Russian ambassador? Did you know during the campaign? When were you aware that he spoke to the Russian ambassador?
I wasn't aware of it.
When did you find out?
You should have spoken truthfully about whether he spoke with the ambassador.
I think he probably did.
So that's the press secretary for the president and the president apparently on a completely different page than their attorney general within just a couple of hours of him recusing himself.
Well, so let's go over the mess that they have here. They're not winning with this. This is a mess. First, Sessions says that the charges are, quote, unbelievable and, quote, false. Then he comes out and says, I'm just kidding, I'm recusing myself. Okay. Trump, when asked at the very end of that clip, do you think he was truthful during the confirmation hearings, whether he told the truth? And he said, he probably did. Okay, all right, interesting. But to me, the worst one was Sean Spicer. His interview with Fox News, where he's going to rip into people asking Sessions to recuse himself, is going to air tomorrow. So that's how badly they miscommunicated. Because they're bumblers. What did I tell you? Number one thing about Trump is not the hateful stuff, it's his incompetence. He couldn't manage his way out of a paper bag, I told you 1,000 times. So here they are with absolutely will not recuse you. Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Okay? And then right after she says that, and the actual guy pops out and goes, no, not shame. I'm recusing myself. Come on, it's incompetence. They don't know what they're doing.
It's like Trump comes out and says Sessions has done nothing wrong, as Sessions is already halfway across King's Landing with bloody feet. Like, dude, catch up, man. The wheels of the government are turning.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've got the little bit of an update there. I don't know what's going to end up coming out of the Kushner and Flynn stuff, but it's a complicated thing. And I know one of the things that Spicer is apparently going to say tomorrow now, but we already know what he said is, it's just the Democrats, they're just trying to find this stuff. Man, we do production meetings here, and a bunch of people come with different stories, and we don't spend like an hour trying to find anything about Russia. You can't go a week without some ridiculous thing. It's not like I got involved in his transition team and said, you should surround yourself with people who all have these weird, bizarre ties to Russia. We don't want it. We're not looking for it. You guys keep dishing it up. I know some people think that the first job of a journalist at this point is to not discuss any story that involves Russia, even tangentially. But stuff is happening, laws are being broken, and we're going to investigate it, okay? We're the cop on the beat at this point.
Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. tytnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
do it now. tytnetwork.com/join.